STEM Choir here, and today we're going to be learning about the laws of exponents. So there are 5 laws, and we have to remember these when we're working with exponents just to make our lives a lot easier. So the first law is am times an equals am plus n. So what this is saying is if you have the same base number, we have 2 squared times 2 to the 4th. This basically means because these have the same base number, we can keep the base number the same and just add the 2 exponents. So then it'll be 2 to the 6th. And this is much easier to solve than finding the 2 numbers to what's 2 squared and then finding 2 fourths and then multiplying them together. So now this is very simple. So then the second law is that if we have the same base number, again, most of these laws require having the same base number. So next one is if it's the same base number divided by the same base number with a different exponent, then we're going to just subtract the 2. So this will just be 2 squared. That's our second law. So am divided by an equals am minus n. Our third law, this is universal no matter what the base number is. If it's 2, if it's 4, if it's 23, if the exponent is 0, it's always going to equal 1. So this is good to know when we're solving. Our third law is am times n equals, am to the power of n equals am times n. Okay, so that was really confusing. Basically what this is saying is if you have 2 squared and this is put to the power of 4, this is 2 squared to the power of 4, this is just going to be 2 to the 8th because 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, and finally our last law is a to the negative n. It's going to be 1 over an. So if we have a number like 4, or 3, and we have that to the negative second, that's going to equal 1 over 1 over 3 squared. And that's what that law means. And those are all a law of exponents. So now let's try and use these laws in a problem. So now we have this problem, and we're going to solve this problem by using our laws of exponents and using PEMDAS. So PEMDAS says parentheses first. There's no parentheses, so we're moving on to our next step, which is exponents. So all of these are exponents. It's time to work with all of them. So we have to work from left to right. So first we see 2 squared times 2 to the 4th. That's actually going to be our first law of exponents, the law of multiplication. So 2 squared times 2 to the 4th, that's going to be 2, because the bases are the same, we can say 2 to the 2 plus 4, or 2 to the 8th. I'm going to put that back into our equation. So now our equation is 2 to the 8th divided by 2 to the 5th plus 2 to the 0. Our next step is to do division. So this is going to be the division law of exponents, and that's going to be, because the bases are the same, we can use this law. So it's going to be 2, 8 minus 5. And that's going to be 2 to the 3rd. So now we have 2 to the 3rd, and then we can put that back into our equation. So now our equation is 2 to the 3rd plus 2 to the 0. So now we're thinking we have to add these, and there's no law for that. Well, actually, we have one more step. Remember 2 to the 0? That's a law, and that's the law of 1, or law of to the power of 0. So now we have to remember that anything to the power of 0 is 1. So it's actually just going to be 2 to the power of 3 plus 1. So if we put this into our calculator, we know that 2 to the power of 3 is 8. 8 plus 1 equals 9. And 9 is our final answer. Okay, so let's do one more. So here we have another problem. This looks like a lot, but I promise we can get through it. So we have to do parentheses first, and it looks like everything's in parentheses. So let's start with our smallest parentheses, 4 to the power of 2. There's nothing we can do that, so we see 4 to the power of 2 to the power of 3. So remember, this was a law of multiplication. So that's going to be 4 to the power of 2 to the power of 3. It's going to be 4 to the power of 2 times 3. So that's going to be 4 to the power of 6. Okay, and then we put that back into the equation. It's 4 to the power of 6 to the power of negative 1. Remember, this was also a law. It was the law of fraction, the law of reciprocal. So what this is going to do is we're going to say, remember the law, it's going to be 1 over 4. It's supposed to be to the -1, but because we have the 6, we have to remember to multiply those together. So it's going to be 4 to the 6, because 1 times 6 is 6. And that's our final answer. And that's law of exponents.